Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we lead us from unreality to the reality, ignorance to the knowledge, and from death to immortality. Oh, peace, peace, peace. Dear devotees, almost like 3 months before, we were discussing Patanjali Yoga Sutra. In mid-November, I traveled to India. Then December, there were no classes. In January, we were busy with Swami Vivekananda celebrations in different parts of Ireland. So in February, again, we are resuming our classes on Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So today, the nature of Īśvara and the japa or Omkara will be the main topic. I think in our last class, we did try to discuss about the nature of Īśvara or the nature of God according to the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Now, interestingly, if you see in the non-dualistic philosophy, that is Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, there's only one reality, which they call consciousness or the Brahman. Now, when it comes to Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, different schools of philosophy, they have got multiple realities. Now, when it comes to Sankhya and Patanjali Yoga, Sankhya philosophy and Patanjali Yoga philosophy, they have got only two realities. Which are the two realities? One is Purusha, the other is Prakriti. So for them, both are real and ultimate realities are the only two. Now, there is a discussion whether Sankhya accepts God or not. There's a difference of opinion. Some argue that the earlier part of Sankhya school used to accept God, Īśvara, and the latter part of Sankhya school doesn't accept the God. Now, in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, since Patanjali himself discusses about the nature of God, it is very clearly understand it is a theistic philosophy. Now, the problem comes for the Patanjali because Patanjali's philosophy is based on Sankhya Yoga. Now, since they have got only two realities, now where to put God or Īśvara? Now, Īśvara cannot be considered, cannot be classified under Prakriti. Why? Because though Prakriti is ultimate reality, it is unconscious in nature, inert, and also subject to modifications. So that is quite not acceptable about the nature of the God or Īśvara. Then, okay, we consider, okay, Prakriti is not possible. There's another reality called Purusha. Let we consider God under the Purusha category. If you think that, then the problem can come is just like human being or the individual Purusha is bound, and after sadhana, after spiritual practices or yogic practices, he is liberated. So that means Īśvara also at some point of time he was bound, and because of sadhana he is liberated. Like yogis have liberated, Īśvara also has liberated. So this one question can come. And just like we get misidentified with the Prakriti and its evolute, does God also gets identified with Prakriti and evolutes because he's calling Purusha? And we have got 5 obstacles in yoga, that is ignorance, attachment, aversion, ego, and fear of death. So even these obstacles are this nature, even for God also it exists or not. So rationally, all these problems can come. That is the reason he adds one adjective to the Īśvara. He is Purusha, no doubt, but he is Purusha Visheshaha. Like a president of the Ireland. He is a human being, no doubt, but he's special. at least with respect to the country, because he's the president. So God is Purusha Vishesha. Īśvara is Purusha Vishesha, means he's the special self. So he is special in himself, or itself. Himself, we cannot say special in itself, because he is unaffected, untouched by these obstacles or afflictions of the mind. He is never born. Since he is never born, he never dies, and is not mortal in nature, and is conscious. Since he is a Purusha, is conscious. So adding this Purusha, one Vishesha adjective, just adjective, is a self Purusha. The Patanjali very beautifully tries to discuss us the nature of Purusha. So that's where they define klesha karma vipakashaihi aparam rushtaha Purusha Visheshaha Īśvaraha. Asha means desires. Desires are the receptacle of the storage or the deposit of the samskaras and all. So, ashaihi aparam rushtaha is untouched by any samskaras or any desires, which we are all, so many samskaras, impressions is being stored in our minds. But in his mind, there is no impression at all. He is untouched, unaffected by any impression or by any desires. Then aparam rushtaha, aparam untouched, and is not only untouched by any desires, is karma. He is untouched by any action. And klesha is untouched, is unaffected by any obstacles to the practice of yoga, and vipaka and fructification of the karma or the results of karma. So he is not bound by any obstacles, or is not bound by karma action and its results and its fructification, nor any desires. He is untouched by any of them. That's why he is a Purusha Vishesha, is the special self in himself or in itself. He is called Īśvara. He is the Lord. So basically, the Lord is a special self. Lord is untouched by the obstacles, karma, fructification, and subconscious predispositions. This is the nature of Īśvara according to the Patanjali in his Sutras. Now, so because see, for example, when we take a birth, why should we take birth? Someone say, oh, I was not interested in taking birth, but God has pushed me in the creation or into this world. I may argue, A, B, C, X, Y, Z person might argue, but we are not, we don't have any option. Why? Because based on our actions result, actions performed in the previous lives, based on that karma phala, we have taken a birth. So we don't have a choice. Whereas with a God, if God incarnates as a prophet, as an incarnation, they have a choice. Willingly they take just for the to uplift the humanity or to help the humanity. So for them there is a choice, and for us there is no choice. Why? We are bound by action and its results and its fructification. Whereas God is not affected by any of them, because there is no depository of the samskaras. Is like a clean slate, we can say, tabula rasa. And also, when he says that aklishta, there is no obstacles present in his mind, it shows that now yogis also doesn't have any obstacles, because they have overcome, they have attained asampragnata samadhi and all. So then yogis also can be considered as Īśvara. No. So aklishta means he never had these problems at all. So that is the thing. These small words, how it brings it, how it eliminates all type of doubts. Okay. Now, tatra niratishayam sarvagnatva bijam. Again, the nature of Īśvara is continued now. So what is the nature of Īśvara, if you ask? Already we have seen. So he is unaffected by karma, unaffected by kleshas, that is obstacles, unaffected by any fructification of karma or repository of impressions. That's the one. And the 25th sutra it is telling, in him, the seed of omniscience is unsurpassed. Now we are all, the human beings are alpagnas. I may be a Nobel laureate. So I may be a Nobel laureate, or I may be the topmost person in the physics. In the physics, almost all I might know, but I cannot say everything I know. Till today, what all the knowledge was available in physics, I might have studied, which is not possible, but still, for discussion's sake, if you consider we might have studied, but tomorrow there might be new knowledge. Or some other old knowledge was there, which I was not aware in some other states or some other country. But rather, or we can say that, okay, I know everything in physics, no doubt, but I don't know everything about chemistry. What about maths? What about political science? What about history? What about arts and architecture? So human beings are alpagnas. We know something, no doubt, but we don't know everything and anything and everything. Whereas we are alpagna, whereas God is sarvagna. God means here Īśvara. Īśvara is sarvagna, means he knows everything, because he is the substratum of the consciousness or substratum of knowledge according to the Vedanta, of course. Here, the Patanjali is saying that he is sarvagna, means he knows everything. Because in the commentators, interestingly, they discuss us there's a very good discussion in this. So when the sarvagnatva with related to, they say that there are different gradations of sarvagnatva. Now, for an example, yogis. Some of the yogis, they know the past, present, and future. Okay, they know past, present, and future. 100 years before what happened, if you ask, they may be able to tell. Okay, how many births I took in every birth in earlier previous births, what all role I had taken, if you ask, some of the yogis might be able to tell. Then okay, afterwards, how many births I will be taking and what, they might be able to tell. So is it sarvagnatva? No, it is a gradation, but that doesn't mean that they know everything or they have got a complete knowledge. No. So there are different gradations of sarvagnatva according to the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, or there are different levels of omniscience. Whereas Īśvara's omniscience is unsurpassed, niratishayam, unsurpassed. So using this one word niratishayam, there is no one equal to Īśvara's sarvagnatva. So this is called in the Nyaya language, adding small words or adjectives, you'll be, you'll be removing all the possible confusions actually. In the sutra, you have to very crisp, but by adding a small words, you'll be able to give the clear meaning or clarity basically. So the sarvagnata is ability to understand everything, he is aware of everything, and he knows everything, and he knows everything. I mean, he is aware of every event. All these things can be told as under the sarvagnatva. Because in individual, the knowledge grows, the knowledge decreases. The knowledge might grow and the knowledge might decrease. But in him, neither knowledge grows nor decreases. Why? Because he is omniscient. And I mean, I think in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, there's a quite interesting discussion that the founder of this Sankhya philosophy, that is Kapila Muni. Kapila Muni is also considered as omniscient, no doubt, but he meditated. He meditated and he got the blessings of the Vishnu. He got the blessings of the Vishnu, and so that he became an omniscient, and he shared the knowledge to his first disciple called Asuri. Now, with the discussion like this, they come, okay, Kapila was not omniscient. So after the experience of the Īśvara, he became omniscient, no doubt, probably, but his omniscience is a time-bound, and he gave the knowledge to his disciples and all fine. But though Kapila is omniscient, we can say, but it cannot be compared, or it cannot be equated with the omniscience of the Īśvara. That's what the commentators says very clearly. And one of the commentators gives a very beautiful explanation is because Īśvara is made up of Shuddha Sattva. So without any impurities. Whereas even the yogi, the highest yogi, is made up of not Shuddha Sattva, we can say. That is the reason that absolute Niratishayatva with respect to Sarvagnatva cannot be there in any others. So basically, his omniscience is unsurpassed. So this is the nature of Īśvara according to the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So one more thing they are telling that how he can be called Sarvagna in the 26th Sutra. Again, one more Sutra they will tell, and they will show that Īśvara is omniscient, omnipresent also. Purvesham api guruhu kalena anavacchedat. Ishvara was also the teacher of the ancient teachers because he is not limited by the time. By this sutra, Ishvara was also the teacher of ancient teachers, and because he is not limited by the time, it shows that they are trying to explain that Ishvara is immortal. We are all mortals, but Ishvara is immortal. Now, the gurus, the munis, the teachers, and all, at some point of time, they were not there. Then they took birth, they did sadhana, they attained asamprajnata samadhi and all, fine. But they were not immortal as a person, I mean to say. But Ishvara is immortal. There was no time Ishvara was not there. There is no time Ishvara is not there. There will be no time Ishvara will not be there. He is immortal. To express that, this sutra has been told. So one is Sarvagna and he is eternal. By telling he is eternal, he is free from the cycle of birth and death. He is unborn. He is unborn means he doesn't exist. No, he is never born. Means he always exists. Many times people ask, children ask, okay, if I've been created by my parents, parents have been created by their parents and all, so Ishvara has created all of us, fine. Then who created Ishvara? Who is the father and mother of Ishvara? This is the very common question asked by youngsters or the children. So it is difficult sometimes to make them understand, but this sutra tells very clearly there are no parents for Ishvara. Why? He is unborn. Because he is eternal, he is immortal. And very interestingly, even the Brahma, according to the Puranas, we see in the Indian mythology, Brahma, not Brahman, of course, Brahma, the creation of the god of creation, he also has got time limit. It might be thousands of years, but he has got a time limit. But whereas with respect to Ishvara, there is no time limit. And this Ishvara is the teacher of teachers. And one more interesting, if you see, there's a beautiful link actually. Till before three sutras, before that, we studied Īśvara Pranidhana, the surrender to the God actually. So after studying the Īśvara Pranidhana, the surrender to the God, now the Patanjali is discussing about the nature of God. Okay, surrendering to the God is one of the spiritual practice he discussed. After discussing, now he's discussing the nature of the God in the three sutras. How beautifully the topics are correlated and interrelated. It is quite interesting. Now, in these three sutras, in the three aphorisms, Patanjali discussed the nature of Ishvara. Now, how to reach him, how to attain him, how to reach him will be discussed in the 3 or 4 sutras. Now, before going to sutra, the aphorism, I would like to give some background. There is a relationship between word and the meaning. Word and the meaning. Here, meaning means meaning of the word. Not only that, the meaning also refers to object here. For example, cow. When I say cow, cow has a meaning. Here meaning is cow is referring to an animal which has got 4 legs. Oh, is it 4 legs is in description? Because there are many animals who has got four legs. Okay, so the Nyaya says 4 legs, 2 horns. Oh, 4 legs with 2 horns. Many animals have got. Then they say that, okay, where we milk the cows, that bladder, that is which is the very interesting thing by which it can be differentiated from other parts of animals, they say. So the word, it represents an object also. That is also called meaning here. Now, in the Indian philosophy, there are 3-4 schools. Now, there is a called conventional relation, Sanketavada or conventional relation. The Nyaya and Vaisheshikas, they hold this view. What is that? The relation between the word and its meaning is conventional. It is not natural, it is acquired or learned. For an example, cow. Or maybe gotva, go we say in Sanskrit. For the word cow, we say go. Go. But go is not everywhere. It may be in India, it may be with only Sanskrit. Now it is cow in English, but a person doesn't know who doesn't know English. For him, if you say, can you go and fetch the cow? Then he will ask, what does it mean? What is this you are referring to? So he may, if he is a Spanish, then you have to tell in Spanish language, for example. That's why it is not natural, it is learned according to the Nyaya Vaisheshika views. Now, Mimamsa and the Vedantic school view, basically, for them, it is eternal relation, natural or eternal relation, Nityavada. The relationship between word and its object, or word and the meaning, is eternal and natural. And words and their meanings exist naturally. We do not create the relation, we only discover it. We cannot create it, we only discover it. We only invent it, actually. Like Newton discovered the gravitational force. He didn't create gravitational force. Gravitational force was existing, he only discovered it. So this is what according to the Vedantic and other schools of Mimamsa. Now, Sankhya and Yoga, more or less, they say that causal relation or buddhi vritti vada, causal relation. What does it mean? According to them, sound produces the modification in the mind or the buddhi. And this modification corresponds to the specific object or the specific concept. So, meaning is recognized not because there's a fixed word object link, but it is a causal association formed through experience. So this is what the Sankhya and Yoga. So now this Tasya Vachaka Pranava I will be discussing. So now if you know this background, then the word and associated meaning you will be able to understand. So for the Sankhya and Yoga, it is the causal relationship. It is not natural, it is not eternal also. Okay. Now, after discussing the nature of Īśvara, how to attain Īśvara? If you ask, the Patanjali says, Tasya Vachakaha Pranavaha. The name designating him, or actually it should be, it is a syllable Om. So there is a name for example, Swami Shantivratananda, John, or Patrick, Paddy, like that. So what is the name we can call him, through which we can call him, or the symbol or a name? If you ask, the symbol for the symbol or a name for God can be Omkara or just Om or Pranava. So Īśvara and Omkara are synonyms. I think we studied Mundaka Upanishad. There also very clearly we remember. Mundaka Upanishad say, Om is the bow, and the self, individual self, is an arrow, and the Brahman is the target to be attained, to be reached. And in Taittiriya Upanishad it says, Brahman is nothing but Om, and the whole world, universe, is also the Om only. And in the Shvetashvatra Upanishad, they say, practice of meditation on Omkara, one can reach Brahman or one can reach Īśvara, Shvetashvatra Upanishad says. So Omkara has got a very interesting and great value in the Hinduism and also in Indian philosophy. In also Sikhism also, no doubt. To Jainism, I'm also sure. I'm not very sure about the Buddhism. Now, why so much importance is given to Omkara, and why it is called synonym to the God or Īśvara? If you ask, this is the primordial sound. The first manifestation, the God is unmanifested, and the first manifestation in the universe is what? Omkara. That's why it is called primordial sound. And one more primordial sound is there, according to the Indian philosophy, Indian scriptures, that is Atha. Atha and Om, both are primordial sound, which was at the beginning of the creation, it manifested. And quite interestingly, in the gospel, Jesus Christ also says, the God created the word. The God created the word, and from the word, world came, he says. So God created the word, he says. So this word is what? Om. Okay. Now, word and its meaning. When you say word and its meaning, means word is referring to an object. Meaning means explanation also we can say, but here meaning is an object. So Om is the word, and the object referring to here is God. God is not an object, no doubt, is a prime subject. But I mean, just for understanding sake, I'm saying you, Om is the word, and the meaning or the object is referring here to the God. So Vachaka, Vachya Sambandha, we say in Sanskrit. Vachaka is word, Vachya is referred object. So Yajnavalkya in his sutras he tells beautifully, God's body is invisible. For our naked eyes, God's body, God's form is invisible. We do not know how he is there, in which form he is there. But through devotion, one can reach him. Through bhava, he says, through bhava one can reach him. Through practice of devotion, one can reach him. And how to reach him? Through devotion, if you say, Omkara is his name. So basically, he's telling by taking the Omkara, by taking that primordial sound or the divine name Omkara, one can reach the God, because we do not know how he is he, what is he. Now, there's a beautiful sutra in one of the scriptural text about the pranava, about the Omkara. I will tell in Sanskrit and afterwards I will tell in English, so don't bother. Prakarshena, nuyate, स्तूयते anena Īśvara iti pranavaha. Means that by which the Īśvara is praised or extolled in the highest or most excellent manner is called pranavaha. That by which the Īśvara is praised or extolled in the highest or most excellent manner is called pranava. So now you can understand why pranava is equated with the God's name Īśvara. Okay, fine. So it is a primordial sound, it is a sacred symbol, it is a sacred name of the God. Fine. What shall I do with this? If you ask, then in the Patanjali, in the 28th sutra, he tells, Tad japas tadartha bhavanam. Tat japaha tad artha bhavanam. You should start repeating the Omkara and you should also try to meditate on its meaning. So this is the spiritual practice. So this is the basic sutra for all types of meditation which we do in our day-to-day life. We might be doing the japa on Rama, Krishna, Jesus, or any god and goddesses. So this is the basic philosophy for all our spiritual practices, especially in the devotion. Means tat japaha, its repetition. Here tat means refer to Omkara. The repetition of the Omkara, tat japaha, tad artha bhavanam. And contemplation on its meaning should be performed simultaneously. Because Kathopanishad says, one who knows this support, that's Omkara, one delights in Brahman. Okay, tat means Omkara, japaha, japa means what? Repetition. Japyate iti japaha means repetition, time and again it should be repeated. I think in the Brahma Sutras, in the 4th chapter, Vyasa beautifully discusses about this. So japa is meant for repetition. It is not to be studied for once or twice, heard once or twice. It should be constantly repeated time and again. Japyate iti japaha. It should be repeated. How many times? One time? No. 1,000 times? No. Million times? No. It should be keep on repeating till reaching our final goal. Tat japaha, tad artha. Tat artha means that referring meaning of the object or referred object. Bhavanam. Bhavanam means contemplation, meditation. Meditation on whom? Tad artha bhavana means contemplating on Īśvara's nature or contemplating on Īśvara. Now the question might come, why do we need two things? Either we will meditate or we will do japa. Why do we need two things? That question can come because mere repetition of the name or the word, any sacred word, can lead into mechanical repetition. Many times we land into this problem. So the distractions will take over our mind. I will be repeating the Lord's name, or I will be repeating the Omkara, I will be repeating the Īśvara's name. My mind may be doing the world tour. But when I am trying to meditate, when I am trying to concentrate on the form or on the meaning of the object, that is on Īśvara, you are bound to concentrate. If your mind is wavering, you cannot meditate. So doing japa and meditation both can bring a good amount of concentration, and our distractions will be reduced to larger extent. That is the reason scriptures are saying that we should repeat the japa and we should also repeat, try to meditate. So that's where in our Ramakrishna mission tradition, Upasana, our gurus, after preliminary steps, they tell first you try to meditate. Then you start doing japa and as well as meditation both. Why? Because meditation, just I trying to do meditation, one work is done. So to after certain extent, so I should be able to do japa and meditation both and both simultaneously. Because of that, the distraction of the mind is reduced, concentration can be increased. Second thing, and the meditation process will not be mechanical. So they also say japa brings a positive energy and it studies mind to extent, no doubt. But this artha bhavana prevents it from becoming empty ritual or doing or wavering the mind. That is why it is very important. Now, it is not discussed in the sutra, but in the commentators, in other elsewhere, this is discussed. There are three types of or three modes of japa, three modes of repetition. Base one is vachika japa, audible or verbal repetition. We can say verbal repetition, audible. So when the mantra is chanted aloud, which is audible to others, others means not it should be so loud like 10 houses that side this side are hearing. No, like for example, I'm sitting and one or two people are sitting in my room in the same room. Then if I'm chanting like Om Namah Shivaya, people are also hearing me or my chanting. That's what we mean audible. So this is what called Vachika Japa. So generally when we do satsangs, retreats, together we all chant this one universal mantra like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishna, all of us together loudly. So this is called Vachika Japa. And some of the spiritual seekers cannot chant mantra mentally. So for such people, it is told that you should sit in a room individually, close the doors or windows, or make sure that others should not listen. If your guru tells, then you might chant little loudly so that you can practice for to certain extent. Then afterwards you have to switch out to Upamshu Japa. Upamshu Japa, what happens? And this Vachika Japa, what happens? It produces the good vibrancy outside also. Not only that, it purifies our speech and it establishes a rhythm and discipline. That's what happens in Vachika Japa. Because, and also when we are chanting, and if it is not mechanical, I'm chanting my mantra, my speech is getting purified, and my ears are hearing again and again. So the frequency, that divine frequency, is purifying my body and mind time and again. Now, the second type of japa is called Upamshu Japa. First is Vachika, second is Upamshu. Upamshu means we are just whispering. Whispering in the sense like, so people cannot hear, but they can only see my movements of the lips. Okay, lips. For example, we can see. I think once Swami Sri Ramakrishna tells, you see always Rakal, that is Swami Brahmanji during his young days. Rakal's lips is always moving, and there's a glow in his face, and his lips are moving constantly. Means Swami Brahmananji was doing this Upamshu Japa always. So he was trying to repeat the Lord's name always. He may be sitting with the master, he may be walking, he may be talking, whatever. Whenever, as much as possible, he was trying to do the japa. That's why his lips were moving. This is called Upamshu Japa. So mantra is chanted or repeated, no doubt, mentally with only lip movements, and which is not audible to others. Whereas in Vachika Japa, it is audible. In Upamshu, it is not audible. The third is Manasa Japa. So this is the best form of meditation, only mental repetition. So, it is not audible, sound is not audible. Not only that, even there is no lip movement. Just he is sitting and is doing, we do not know what is he doing. Means we cannot understand, find out, because there is not audible sound and there is no lip movements also. So basically, mentally, the repetition of the God's name or Īśvara's name is happening. This is the best japa according to the scriptures. So the Vachika japa is the first good, and the better is Upamshu, and the best japa according to the scriptures is Manasa japa. If we can transfer ourselves to this Manasa japa, that is more better according to scriptures. And also, the scripture says when we are chanting the mantra, we should be conscious about that. Consciously, we should be chant the mantra, and we should also know the meaning of every syllable or overall meaning and every syllable meaning of that mantra. And also, we should that mantra is referring to a particular God. What is his nature? We should know this. With consciously knowing this, we can chant the name or we can chant the mantra that bring a good results. You need not to, keep telling that, okay, Om Namah Shivaya, oh, Shiva is the God, Shiva is the Īśvara, is the Parvati, is the husband of Parvati, and is a Kailasavasi. All these things I need not to tell every time, but I should be aware of that. Consciously, I should be aware of that. Say, for an example, I'm doing a Narayana. Who is Narayana? Is the omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, and is the supreme Brahman. All these basically his nature, his qualities, we should know it. Keeping that consciously, actively, we should do the japa. Then that brings greater results according to the scriptures. Now the question might come: why should we chant at all this? By chanting or by doing japa, what happens actually? So in the Tantra Shastras, in the Tantras, they tell Nama, Nami, Abhed. Nama, name, Nami, the person who has got the name. Both, there is no difference, essential difference between the name and the name of a person. Say, for an example, Shiva. Shiva has got so much power. We all know that. So much power he has got. All that power is been embedded in his name, in his two-syllable name, two alphabets. That is Shiva. The whole power is been embedded there. As a result, by repeating the Lord's name, I will be getting His grace, or I will be getting that power. My mind will be able to imbibe that universal power or cosmic power. So that is the reason this is the easiest way to do the japa, and by that we can purify our body and mind, and we can reach the God, or we can experience the Īśvara. So Nama and Nami Abhed. We can give a simple example. Like there are 10 people are going there. 10 people are going, and I'm little far, maybe 100 meters, 200 meters. Then I will call, oh, John. When I say John, only John will turn, others will not turn towards me. Why John will turn? Because his name is John. So there is no difference, essential difference between the name of a person and the person. For simple example. So similarly, by repeating the Lord's name, what is happening? We are slowly, our mental frequency is traveling from 2G to 3G, 4G, 5G, 10G, and God G basically. So it goes and gets get tuned with God. When our mind is getting tuned with God, then we'll be able to experience the God. We'll be able to experience the Īśvara. One is it purifies our mind, and it purifies our mind. It strengthens our mind. Not only that, it uplifts our mind basically. And also, if you see, for an example, say time and again we are seeing the same movies. If you see, our mind is also filled with that impressions seen in the movies. As a result, in our dreams or in our nature, we manifest these things, whatever we have seen. So, for an example, every day you are seeing the movies, which is the nature is boxing movies, fighting movies. So many times I'm seeing in a dream, or even sometimes I may react with people with this type of nature. I'm seeing very horror movies, for example. I may dream that horror movies, and I may see sometimes very romantic movies. Then I may dream this type of. So similarly, when I'm doing japa time and again, time and again, time and again, what happens? Then slowly our mind has been filled with this divine frequency. Like for an example, there's a big vessel. Then we are go on adding the pebbles one by one, one by one, one by one. After some time, what happens? That whole big vessel is filled with the pebbles and pebbles only. Then okay, you remove it, and then slowly you add grains. You add grains, grains, grains. Then after some time, the whole vessel will be filled with the grains. Now, in the same way, our mind, if you go on doing the japam as much as possible, then each japa is adding a one pebble, God pebble, God pebble, God pebble. So in some after some years or decades, if you say your mind is predominantly covered with the God, that will help also us to reach the God or experience the God. Why? Because it is cleaning the mind. because like two things cannot occupy the same space as a matter principle. So when you are go on adding the god, when you are go on adding the god through japa meditation, what happens? Slowly you are filling your mind with the god. Then at some point of time, what happens? This worldliness and the impurities, slowly it will be washing out. I think there's a standard example given by scriptures and also from our senior monks. They tell that like there's a bottle, ink bottle, and ink bottle is filled with what? Ink, no doubt. Then you started pouring water, pure water. When you start pouring pure water, what happens? Because already the bottle is filled, or little gap was there. Then you started pouring the water. Then it started filling. Once start filling, then ink water is coming. Then you may say, I am pouring the pure water, but ink water is coming. Yes, now you are pouring the pure water, but already there was a ink. As a result, there is the ink water or a polluted water is coming, not pure water. Then what to do? Keep pouring water, keep pouring water. How long? Maybe 5 years, 10 years, or whatever, we do not know, based on the impurities existing in our mind. Then we go on adding in the ink part, the river, the water. After, if it is 100 ml, say, for after pouring a 1 liter, 2 liters, or 5 liters of water, then what happens? Slowly, then you are pouring the pure water. Then now you are getting the pure water also. So it is like that, our japa. Many times we think, I'm doing japa, I'm doing this spiritual practice, that spiritual practice, but I'm not able to see, or I'm not able to see that same output. Whatever the input I'm putting, output I'm not seeing. We feel that. Why? Because I'm putting input, no doubt, but there are so many impurities which is already stored in our mind, so that we should remove it. Till then, we should keep on adding the good ones. If you don't add good ones, our mind is bound to add bad ones. So why should we do sadhana? Because we can't keep quiet. Since we cannot keep quiet, we should keep on doing a good thing so that we will not do bad thing. That's the first point. And by doing good things, by adding good frequencies, good samskaras, good impressions, bad impressions are slowly, it is removed, it is cleaned. Just like we hoover the room, we clean the house. So we are cleaning our mind through japa. So may the Lord bless all of us so that we shall try to remember God time and again, more and more. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.